Alright guys, so the first thing I do is I Google NBA and I check out the slate of the games, because a big part of my approach is I like to look at the matchups, or they call them DVPs, and I like to exploit the biggest mismatches. And that has a lot to do, with the games. So I want to see who's playing who, which team. Also, another thing is defensive efficiency. So the teams that have the lowest defensive efficiency are also matchups I want to exploit. So it looks like we have a pretty good game slate today. So we have, like, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's a pretty decent database to work with here. So the next thing I do is I go to rotowire.com. All right. Go to NBA. And we are going to scroll down, and what I want to do is I'm going to pull up a DVP chart, or defense first position, because it's always changing every day, and I want to get the most updated charts that I can get. So we're going to go to defense first position. And I'm doing this on a mobile phone, so I'm going to just screenshot each position. So this is our point guard list. Okay, there we go. All right. Here's our shooting guards. Small forwards. Almost there. Hang with me. And we're just gonna screenshot them for now. I'm not gonna do anything else. I'll show you what I'm gonna do with it here in a bit. All right, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to Roto Grinders. And we are going to go to NBA right here. Go to the menu, NBA. Go to player projections. And this, in my opinion, is the most crucial part of the research. This is going to have a lot of important data in it. So I think if you haven't, you're going to have to set the filters yourself. You're going to have to hit each one of these: PG, SG, SF, PF, and center, so it can add all of them into the search. But I've already done it, so it should pull up. Or maybe not. It usually takes a second. Maybe I have to redo it. Okay, it's been a while since I've done this. It's been, like, I don't know, at least a week since I've done this. So, oh, there we go. Oh, I tap point guard. Okay. All right, so we have our list. And what I like to look at at first is I look at the value, because cash games, you want to get the best value players who are also going to score a decent amount of points. So looks like we have two guys that are above 6, which is, I usually always add at least one 6 guy in there into my lineup. There's 6.04 for Alan Crabb. Nene has 6.14. I normally, I don't emphasize too much on the points, because that can vary depending on the matchup and everything else. But I use at least, probably one or two of these top guys on here. So you're going to be looking at the values. the points right now. I think names that are popping out of me are James Harden, a 5.67 value, 65 projected points. Normally in cash games, I wouldn't go for guys that are above 10,000 salary, just because it could be that makes for more risky plays that you're gonna have to do for low salary guys. So I generally avoid them. But I guess at this, according to this, to get a player of his caliber at that high of a value, it's kind of hard to pass up. So yeah, I look at things like the value. Obviously, the higher value plays are more important in my opinion for cash games. And then I try to make sure, at least for the points, you want to keep it above 25 points. So yeah, those are two things I look at. Also, the next thing is that's important in my opinion is I look at the over/under, and I want to see, because that gives you an idea of how many how many points the teams are going to score. If it's like for instance this Rockets game, there's at least three. There's Harden, Tucker, and Nene that are in the top for value, and their over/under is 220. So they're probably going to be the highest scoring game in the slate. So those are probably guys that I would probably look at more. Another thing that's important is obviously the point total I think matters a little bit too, but also I look at the pacing. Teams, if it's two teams that play at a really high pace, 100 or more, then they're more likely to score higher, and there's going to be more opportunities for fantasy points. So that's another thing to look at. Okay, so now that we have our data, I like to put together a little player pool, just so I have something to kind of work with when I'm drafting my team. So normally the number one option I do is the highest value play of the day. So in this case, it's going to be Nene at 6.14. So I would probably do, for my top three, I would do Nene, Allen Crabbe, and then I'd probably skip down to Harden for 3. And then, because normally the only, I'll do a 6 value, but anything below that, I'll start looking at points too. And it's got to be above at least 30 for a point prediction. So in this case, I'd probably do Nene, Allen Crabbe, James Harden. So let's write them down. Okay, and you just keep doing that until you get about, 15 players in your pool, and it'll make your selection process a lot easier and quicker. So yeah, I'm going to stay tuned, and I'm going to show you the team that I ended up selecting. All right, so the next thing I like to do is look at the DVP, defense versus position matchups, and exploit the weaknesses. So I have my list of guys from value perspective, and then I have a list for DVP. Okay, so looking at the centers, I'd really only play, either an opposing center to Sacramento or the Pelicans right now, because they look like the steadiest mismatches, consistently giving up 70 plus points, which is good for a center. So I'd go with probably an opposing center to the Pelicans first, and then the Kings second priority. And then also, it looks like Phoenix is pretty high up there. And the Timberwolves, 91.2. I normally look at last 5 more than the other two, just because I think it's more important in my opinion. So yeah, look at the last 5. Get opposing centers against that are playing against the Timberwolves, the Pelicans, and the Kings, and Phoenix. One of those 4. Looking at the power forwards, let's see. Lakers, definitely. Oh, look at this. Last 5, 111.2. I am definitely, if the Lakers are playing tonight, I'm definitely taking advantage of that. Last 10, 94. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. So we're obviously going to be using that for sure. Another one to look at is Dallas. Last 5, 102.8. 90.5 in the last 10. So that's another matchup I want to exploit right there. Uh, Nothing else really. Looking at maybe the Wizards, 90 in the last 5, 76 overall. So yeah, but definitely for power forwards, Mavericks, and definitely the Lakers. Power forwards opposing those two teams. Small forwards. Now this, in my opinion, is the most crucial position because it's the most versatile, and they have the most upside. So getting especially a small forward that really delivers on all different facets, that can get blocks, rebounds, assists, that does it all. These are the most important positions, in my opinion. And it's looking like, obviously besides the top two, Cleveland is always a given. They're always steadily giving up 90-plus points. And posing small forward to Cleveland. Looking like Atlanta as usual, are your usual ones. And Chicago as well, those top three. So Cleveland, Atlanta, Chicago, um, Pacers, definitely giving up above 90 points consistently. So those three opposing, and looking like the Rockets and Lakers are really high right now. So Rockets, Lakers, and then the Cavs, Hawks, and Bulls. So you get the basic picture. That's kind of what I use for defense first position. All right, guys. So I have gone through the process, and I have selected my cash game lineup. So here we go. We got Rondo at point guard, which I think Orlando is a very favorable matchup for him, even though he's been kind of cold the past couple of games, kind of inconsistent. Jonathan Simmons, huge matchup exploitation there with New Orleans. With the amount of points they've been giving up lately, I just thought he was a no-brainer. Michael Beasley has been hot for the Knicks, taking advantage of Tim Hardaway being out, and he's just been killing it. So he was a no-brainer at that price. Olenek, obviously with Whiteside out, this guy's been dominating as of late too. I think that's a pretty good matchup, him with Dallas. Coming off a big game against the Celtics. Steven Adams, another decent choice. That was with what I had left of the salary. I thought he was probably the best choice for that position, going against a pretty weak Atlanta Hawks. And he's been doing pretty good lately. Etuan Moore, another big mismatch as far as defense first position goes. Orlando's been giving up second lately to shooting guards, second only to his team that he's playing, the Magic. And then Kuzma, who just had a monster game against the Rockets, I think is a no-brainer at that price. And then for my big price player right now, I obviously didn't go too high because it's a cash game, and you don't want to play too many risky plays in a cash game, in my opinion. So I avoided all the big elite players that are 9 or 10,000 and above, and I thought Vucevic was the best available at that higher salary option. So there you go. If you found this video to be of value to you, please like, subscribe, tap that little bell to get updated content, and tell all your friends about me. And stay tuned because I'm going to have a results video coming up next that will show you the results and how I did. And we're going to keep track of this streak, for this cash game streak. Thanks a lot, guys.